وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Welcome everybody to tonight's session, our Friday Night Lights. On our topic is how to pick your spouse, or how to select your spouse, inshallah ta'ala, and then after that, how to keep them. That's the goal, inshallah. So we're joined by Sh.Waleed and Sheikh Ibrahim, alhamdulillah. And Sh.Kamal is a little bit sick today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him shifa. He was going to cover the romantic side, obviously. He was going to cover the flowers and the sweet talk and all of that type of stuff. So we're going to be missing his softer touch today. Yeah, so how are you, Sheikh Ibrahim?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. I just know that I'm participating.
Huh?
I just know that I'm participating.
Alhamdulillah. You're very welcome, Sheikh. You're always welcome.
Jazakallah khair.
So on this topic of selection of spouse, serving as an imam for as long as you've served, I'm sure every imam has like some really clear like points on your checklist. Like you have maybe a totem pole of this is the most important. This is like when someone's coming to you and asking for advice, what are the things you generally tell them that they should be looking for?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. I mean, all of us are familiar with the hadith that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Tunkahu al-mar'atu li-arba'." So the wife is sought for marriage, or a woman is sought for marriage because of 4 reasons. Like these are 4 common reasons that people would want to marry someone is, her beauty, her social status or family, beauty, social status,
Her wealth.
her wealth, yes, money, and her religion and righteousness. And the Prophet ﷺ said, and seek the one who is righteous, seek the one of religion, the one who has righteousness, and you will be successful. Or otherwise, it will be difficult for you in your life. Taribat yadak means, you will always have hardship in your life. So, in my case, I mean, I would, anyone who would seek my advice to look for a wife, I would ask them first, why should anyone marry you first?
Ouch.
Yes. I'm being honest here.
Okay.
I would just ask him, are you marriage material? Before you start looking for a wife, are you ready to get married?
I don't know.
What other?
I mean, how would I know?
How would you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. How would you know?
It's not like I have experience.
I'm asking. That's a conversation will take a long time between me and the person to say, okay, do you understand? Do you understand what women are? What women look for example? Do you understand? I mean, is it because you have these desires that you want to get married? I mean,
Yes.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created that in us. A very legitimate reason why people get married, but then that's 2-3 months, and after that...
Doesn't build a house?
No, you need to find out, do you know anything about family building? Do you know anything about, dealing with a person? And, being with a person for a long time is not easy, by the way. It's not easy to be living with a person for a long, long time, especially if that person, there's no attraction or connection between you. So you have to understand yourself first before you want to actually get married.
Nice.
So that's what I mean.
So what does that mean? You have to understand yourself first. That's like know who you are. So it's a very like California West Coast type of thing. Like I don't know who I am type of thing.
No, that's not, no.
Okay.
Honestly, with every relationship, you need to know who you are.
Okay.
Not just with women or with marriage.
Very nice.
With your children, you need to know who you are. With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need to know who you are. And this is important because the most important person that you need to know is you. Honestly, before you start looking for another person to share your life with, you have to know you. Am I comfortable with myself? Do I get happy when I wake up in the morning and see myself in the mirror? So that's.
Don't look for a person to make you happy.
I mean, if that's what you want in a person, is happiness the goal of marriage?
No, meaning they can't make you happy. You have to be happy within yourself. So am I proud of my own self?
Yeah.
Am I happy within
Are you
myself?
comfortable with your own self?
Am I comfortable with my own self?
Have you reached a level of, let's say, satisfaction with yourself? Like, I am really good about myself.
I really like this point, and I want to build on it, something important. I agree 100%. A lot of people, they don't know themselves well. There is a difference between what you want to be and what you are. You know, there is a difference between the two.
Yeah.
A lot of time, I want to be this person and that person, but really you're not. That's fine, but at least recognize where you're at right at this point. Okay? And then after that, like for example, I would like to be a happy social person, but I'm not. You know, I would like to be that super religious person, but I'm not. I would like to be that, rich person, but I'm not right now. I will. Why it is so important to know who you are? I don't think this applies to men only, to sisters too. Okay? Why it is so important? You know why? Because key number one for a successful relationship is compatibility. You need to look for the right match for you. I will never forget that ad I saw in the newspaper. Okay, a farmer who was looking to get married, and he was looking for a woman with character.
The tractor?
Character,
Tractor.
Yeah. He said that's what he's looking for. It's a good match. He said, "Can you please send him a picture of it?"
Send me a picture of the tractor.
Tractor, send me a picture of it. So the point in this, it's a real ad, by the way. I saw that ad. So when I saw that, this guy just looking for the right match. What I'm saying is, it is so important to know this, because what you need to look for someone who is in your level, in every area. The more there is compatibility, the more there is, a lot of people have this idea that I want the opposite of me, so they can fix it. Opposite attract, that's not true. I 100% can tell you that's one of the biggest lies that you can lie to yourself. Opposite don't attract, opposite clash. Take it from me. I counsel hundreds and hundreds of people, and not me only, everybody. Opposite clash, they don't attract. The only way I saw opposite attract in physical.
Yeah, dating. It's a dating culture concept.
Yeah. But in marriage, yes, I can see white love black, short love tall, big like petite. I saw that a lot. And I was like, wow, this is the opposite completely. But you know what? That's what I'm fascinated with. That's what I love the most. That's fine. But opposite attract, and when it comes to
interest,
character, absolutely, that's something absolutely not correct. What you look for someone who is similar to you. I have a question for you, Ammar, that I always get.
Okay.
Isn't better for me is that something, if you agree with what I just said?
Opposites don't attract.
No, the concept is the most important thing. You look for people who have compatibility.
Yeah.
A lot of people said, I want to marry, when it comes to religion, I should be looking for someone who is
the most righteous in the world.
Yeah, someone who's way more religious than me, so he can pull me up with him, or she can pull me up with her. What do you think of that? Because that's the only area where I always get pushback, and a lot of people fall into this. What are your take?
I don't agree with that, because that's going to create that clash. you eventually, I mean, you know what the religion is. You can wake up for Fajr and pray Qiyamul Layl and do all of these things. You don't need a spouse to do that. Your mom could have woken you up for Fajr if you had really wanted to wake up for Fajr. But what they do is they end up being put in a situation where they're actually not even ready for that level of commitment. They're not even really interested in that level of commitment. They're more interested in the idea of that commitment. And so it causes incredible clash. Now you want to go to the movies and this person doesn't want to go to the movies because it's haram. You want to have a TV in the house and they don't want to have a TV in the house because they don't believe in having a TV at the house. And so at every stage, your interests may not necessarily be at the level or may not be at that level, or they may not necessarily be able to carry a life that is that religious.
Yeah. Very true. I mean, that's also, I want to say there is a difference between your level of religiosity and your ability to grow. Like, I might, in religiosity, I will always look for someone who's a little bit better than me, maybe a little bit higher than me, but not a huge gap, to encourage me. But as you know, these things, there's no metrics for it. It's not like 1.6, 1.5, but a little bit like, somebody interested to grow. And that's one of the most important quality that you look for someone when it comes to religion. There is a lot of people, I'm good, I'm perfect. Khalas, I don't need to increase anymore. My iman is, mashallah, my heart full of iman. Those people never grow. Let's go to a class. I know everything.
Yeah.
Mashallah, I know all this. I studied in Sunday school. I was in Iman Academy when I was kids. I don't need to go out to learn anymore. It just kind of attitude, those people don't grow. Those people just decline, actually.
What about, you talked about race. What about ethnicity? Okay? This person is coming from this culture. This is the question that you get a lot with people who are interested in marrying. They might have met somebody in college. They might be coming from an immigrant background. Their parents speak one language at home, and then they're interested in somebody who comes from a completely different culture. Is that something that for you is like a red flag? Is that something that you tell them calm down with? Maybe even their parents are against the idea, and then they see that, their parents being against it, as their parents being racist.
Well, okay, I don't think it doesn't, you can't just say it will not work. But you can say it takes a lot of work to make it work.
It takes extra work?
It takes extra work. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of dedication. All right, what I'm saying, it's easier to marry into your own culture, definitely, because this way you have actually saved yourself a long journey of trying to understand that different culture, trying to get into the bits and pieces of that culture, because when you marry someone, okay, it's not like, okay, I'm going to visit a friend who's from a different ethnicity, so I'm gonna be with them for a couple of hours, and I'm gonna only be knowing certain things about them. But you're marrying someone, that means you are, you're living their culture in a way. You really have to live it. And you have a culture of your own. But I see that.
But people push back and they're like, but hold on a second. We're all got American culture. We all grew up eating pizza and biryani and shawarma.
It's not about this. It's not that simple.
Okay.
You think it's that simple. It's not that simple at all. Culture is so deep into one's life that you don't see it until you marry in that culture. And if you could love that culture, actually, you give yourself time, be patient. There are a lot of things that will upset you about any culture if they're not your culture, if that's not where your mother raised you to be, and then you go into a different culture and you see a different lifestyle. We always have to agree on that we are Muslim, and we practice the basics of Islam, but then we allow ourselves to accept what is acceptable Islamically, but also culturally strange to us. It's not easy.
I just want to also say, Sh.Ammar, when we say there's a difference between someone like Sheikh Ibrahim want to get married, okay, or somebody who is, born, raised, lived a big portion of his life outside the United States, and someone like my daughter, my son, who born, raised here, your daughter, your son, who born, or somebody came here in his high school or middle school, and they raised all their life. Those people, what is their culture? I think it will be a big mistake if I think of my kids are Egyptians. But also, it will be a big mistake for my kids to think of themselves that they are non-Arab or non-Egyptians. That would be a big mistake too. It would be a big mistake if you think of kids
So
are
what are
Pakistani.
they then? If they're not
They are mixed. They are Americans mixed with a lot of Arab cultures, or whatever culture that they're home, Pakistani, Bengali, or whatever African culture maybe you're coming from. It's an interesting mix, actually. And Islam comes with its culture too, even convert. Hispanic. They're American, born, raised here. But there's culture influence in it. I'm white, I'm black. There is culture involved in it. This is not good, not bad. That's who we are. That's how we, there is a lot of things like, I'll give you an example. I might come, I'll hold on to the example. So let me just make this point clear first. So a lot of parents, they think that their kids, they belong to their own culture. And that's a mistake. But also I notice a lot of youth, they don't recognize the culture that they raised in as if it has zero influence, as if you've been with your mom and your dad for the last 20 years means nothing. No, it has an impact on you. And even, that's what I think Sheikh Ibrahim was trying to say. Even if you don't see it now, you will see it when you get married. Because there are certain things already embedded. It's like me as Waleed today, I'm impacted. I've been living long enough that when I go to Egypt, when I go to Saudi Arabia, I feel like I'm strange.
Yeah, we are strangers.
And that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
I went to the store that day in Saudi Arabia, somebody was telling me, I said, he gave me multiple colors to choose from. I want to buy a thobe. So I picked this color. I guess this is exactly the color I picked. Then he told me, no, this is not a good color. Can you imagine the salesperson tells you, this is not a good color? Excuse me? Take this color.
He's giving you nasiha.
That's not, for me, that was like disrespect. But that's, if I never lived in America, I might not see it the same way I see it now. Because that's the influence of culture. Simple things like that. My wife, she always had a hard time with me, because, for example, in my culture, if I say no, no. خلاص, no. That's it. لا. لا أريد. طيب. But in Western culture, this is very not nice. You should say what?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Or please, like in Arabic, لو سمحت أعطني كذا. This is like so formal, like as if I'm talking to my boss, not my wife or my daughter. But in Western culture, no, please. These little things, jokes, reference to movies, reference to incidents in culture. Even expression. I know an Egyptian brother who was married to a sister, American. He married her, and he was, even his English was poor. He said one day he was calling her, and she told him that don't come to the house. He said, why? She said she have a chicken box. He said, that's fine. I love chicken. He didn't know what's chicken box. He thought she said, have a chicken in a box.
Chicken box, yeah.
Chicken box, whatever it is. He doesn't know what that means.
Box.
So even as simple as silly things like this in the language, you don't know about it, you will be surprised, Even the way you eat, the way you hold things, these little things. So
Which
from
are, Sheikh, important because those are the things that you find attractive and unattractive. Like these things all come from your deep programming. Like I remember one time I was in my house and my mother, like we had probably like an Al-Maghrib class over in New York. And we had like all these sisters come and they were staying at my house because my sisters were hosting. And I remember one sister, we were sitting in the living room. She's from a completely different culture. I'm sitting with my mother in the living room. And we're having a conversation about something, and it's very festive or what have you. And then the sister wants to be a part of the conversation. there's like a bathroom near. So she came out while she was brushing her teeth, and she came out into the living room, and she's like having part of the. And me and my mother are just staring at her, like, what is this? Like, it was the most foreign behavior in the world to me, but for her it was completely natural. So it's just example of how like there are certain things that when you come to one culture might be very normal behavior, and another they might find it very off-putting, right? And when it comes to a relationship that's so dependent on chemistry as a husband and wife, these things really do matter.
That's why youth, you guys, young people, I'm telling you, Sheikh Ibrahim, you put it right. It's easier to marry for someone who kind of similar to you. That's why I want to tell parents, please, I don't hear this a lot, alhamdulillah, in our community, but please don't think of your kids as just being a Pakistani or just being a Egyptian. Or same thing, I tell the kids, don't think that you're not 100%. Look, there's other area other than ethnicity. You have to look at it as well while you're looking for. That's one thing only you look at. But there's many other things. And at the end of the day, you're going to calculate how many points here, good versus bad. And and you make the choice in the end of the day.
Yeah, just one more thing about ethnicity that I kind of like to qualify. I tell people, there are different types of families, and you have to pay attention to what family you come from. There are the families where you speak a foreign language at home. You with your parents, you guys, your sister, your siblings, you guys all sit down and you speak that language. You speak Urdu at home, you grew up, even if you were raised here, you grew up going in the summers back home and you've still got family overseas and all of that type of stuff. That's a very, very, very strong ethnic heritage. And you, even without even planning or calculating, this might be something that you want extended to you. Like, for example, your mother might be hilarious in Urdu, but in English, all she knows how to say is, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you, right? And so you're talking about marrying someone and bringing her into your family, and either you're going to be translator forever, or your mother is going to be a shell of herself in her company all the time. And is that something that you're going to be comfortable with? And then you might want to have children, and obviously you'll want to have children in the future, but you might find in yourself that you want to take that child over to this, your homeland regularly. You might want to try to continue that type of a tradition. You're marrying somebody from somewhere else completely. They might completely buy into that idea, or they might not buy into that idea, or they might be from another place with just the strongest ethnic background, so now you're dividing the time up, trying to travel. So these types of decisions you're talking about a lifetime. You're not talking about, the here and now and whether I'm attracted to them. But then you have some people who it's the complete opposite. They grew up in their houses and everybody spoke English and nobody spoke anything else, and your summers weren't spent overseas. Your summers were spent in California and I don't know, wherever else people go, Galveston and stuff like that, Austin, Seattle, right? And so marrying someone else isn't really going to change your behavior that much. It's not going to change your language that much.
How about non-Muslims? If the in-laws are non-Muslims, that's another challenge.
Yeah,
isn't it?
well, you have to understand, language is not the only thing. What I mean by that is, your mom might not probably speak English well, and your wife is an English-speaking person, but then they can connect in a way other than language, treatment, touch, connecting with them. So words are not the only way of communicating love, for example. And honestly, even with culture, you have to invest in the relationship. That could be an opportunity for you to know more about your spouse. Make her where she is your subject. You know how you study
you threw me off with subject. I went a different way with subject, but okay. Yes, okay.
No.
Okay.
In both ways, honestly. All right. You're not subjugating. She's going to subjugate you, basically. But,
okay.
Make her your subject.
Subject of study.
That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So study her. Give her the opportunity also to know about you. So, words are not the only things that can be
Make
there.
a relationship.
So, if you love someone, you will do a lot for them.
But definitely language, Sheikh, is a main thing. I would never marry
understand.
someone I can't come. Well, I'm going to take.
No, what I mean is, okay. You know how they say, You know how they say women translate love into care, like caring? Sometimes
But that's
you could
different.
tell
But I
someone-
mean, we talk about like basics. I agree with you. Like sometimes it's beyond language. Like for example, in some Arab culture, we are by nature, we don't learn how to smile. Unfortunately. Arab, they don't smile. You know, you smile to someone in the Arab country in the street, that's right. You go to some country, you smile, he tells you, Khair inshallah. Are you okay? You know, it's just not, it's not in the culture. Can you imagine your mom, one of these like, or your dad is like this. It's like, you know, he's nice, he's very nice, but that's how they are. So that, I think that's it's not, even if you speak English very well, but why your mom always staring? That's how she is, that she loves you.
Yep.
She loves me? Okay. You know, I was like, you tell your wife, you know, your mom scared me. She always does stare at me. You know, or like some people, their love is showing in feeding.
Yeah, but the point is she asked why. She didn't just keep it in.
But
She
that's,
asked, so
that
there
can
there will be explanations.
that
There
can be a struggle. We're trying to, if you are in this marriage, we will have solution for you to take care. But you're not, why would you put yourself in an extra struggle? Unless the person really worth it. So now you kind of understand these points. But we talk about even you're not there yet. So these things, think about it. Think about these details before you go farther.
So you have to know first who you are. How important is it for you to have the conversation with your parents? Should you have the conversation with your parents about marriage, even if you're not sure who you are? Some people have spoken to their parents about marriage as early as 16.
Did your son talk to you before he got married?
No. No, he
The
didn't.
Rahman, that's not.
No, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. I actually appreciated that he didn't.
Okay.
And
I don't know what to say to that.
I'm sure he's hearing me right now.
Okay.
But I know that I instilled in him values, that he followed these values.
Oh, I don't mean this particular girl. Did you ever talk about marriage with him? About relation? Okay,
Yeah, of
that's
course.
what I meant. Okay.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that goes without saying, honestly. It's just, the idea is, I lost my...
I haven't yet,
line of
so
track,
I feel bad.
No,
You were saying principles. There were principles that you
I would
taught him.
not talk to my parents first.
You would not talk to your parents
No,
first?
I would find a mentor that has my best interest.
Your parents don't have your best
No,
interest?
they do.
Okay.
They do, but they don't. They're different generation. They're not. They will not understand what I need.
Don't you think it's different from one parent to another?
I would think. I mean, yeah, there might be some parents that are really amazing, and yeah, but generally, for you, if you want to get married and you don't know who you are yet, I advise you to find a mentor who is religious, who fears Allah, and who has your best interest.
That's nice.
And that can sit with you and coach you, teach you certain things. I mean, I got a complaint from a family, I think a month back.
Why would you so quickly said, I wouldn't talk to my parents? Why wouldn't you talk to your
Not
parents?
in the beginning.
Why not? What's going to happen?
Because, okay, their parents have expectations that are different from your own expectations.
Okay.
And I understand, if your mom tells you, I want you to marry this girl, and she has great reasons for you to marry this girl, I would think, hey, you can go with your mom's advice.
Okay.
All right, but don't get there yet until you know who you are. And I think a friend that knows you and who has your best interest, who fears Allah, could be a little older than you, who has experience. Let's say, if Sh.Waleed, for example.
A lot of times friends who know you don't know your family. And your family might be an integral part in this decision-making process. Like, just a lot of our friendships are just, you know, it might even be a friend from a different culture, a friend from a different ethnicity. Like, that's the makeup of our friends. So if I'm coming to a friend and I'm telling him, give me advice, and he'll tell you, but he doesn't know the reality of how Sudanese people navigate, you know, marriage, right? If it's an important part of my...
No, he's not talking about culture. He's talking about you. He wants to know you. You want to know yourself. Away from culture, away from any family.
Okay, so
history.
good
It's
point.
for you, who
talk
you
to
are.
talk to a mentor. That's a very good. Talk to your parents. Later on. I think one of the important thing also for youth, I will advise you guys, make sure you understand what's your parents' expectations. So when you start looking, you don't clash. Let's say your mom would never ever agree for you to marry someone who's, let's say,
Makes less than this amount of money, for example.
yeah, let's say some kind of condition that they are so stubborn about it. That I'm not committed. I don't have to go to oppose them. So I know where the area to look. What are the criteria that I'm gonna basically navigate my way? So understand the culture of your family. The dynamic of your family too. I think that's important. I think it's important for parents to be open. I can tell all my kids, please don't ever do haram. If you ever want to get married, I will be there to help you to get married. I am saying this now to everyone. Yeah. So I will support you 100%, but don't ever think of haram. I think this kind of conversation are important. I think this kind of message, it's important for them to hear from parents.
Yeah, but a lot of parents aren't going to support you getting married necessarily because they don't think that you're ready for marriage yet. So you still have 8 years until you become a doctor or whatever these requirements are that people.
Tariq has a question, point. Go ahead. Brahim, sorry.
You guys talked about the importance of knowing yourself. And so, understandably, whoever you're going to talk to, it's really important that they know themselves, too. How do you know that they know themselves? You know what I'm saying?
That became a dawr. That's became like...
Circular logic. So the question that he's asking, just for the mic so that everybody can hear, is that he's saying the importance of knowing yourself, okay. How do you know that person knows themselves that's approaching you?
So, let me, if I can clarify here. What I mean by knowing yourself is to be in touch with your own feelings. You know what you feel. You know why you want to get married. You know your assets. You know what you're capable of. You know if you are able to love. Honestly, because yes, we all have what we call infatuation. And that infatuation will get you 6-7 months. But then what? Are you able to turn that infatuation to love? Because love actually
How would
doesn't...
you know if you've never done it before?
No, love is an intrinsic part of you as a human being. Allah created it in you. And Allah promised it in the Quran. If you fear Allah and observe His commandments, Allah will give you love. So that is not something it's impossible for a human being not to love. Honestly, impossible.
Okay.
Obviously, one of the point is important for you to look for someone, like Sheikh said, mentor. Someone of wisdom, some quality, not the same level. I want to say something also about looking for the person that you're looking for. One of the things that I always say it is so important for you is to understand that as Muslims, marriage is not just one person and one person. It's family. You like it, you don't like it, that's the reality of it. A lot of people think that I'm just me.
Yeah.
It's not you. It's like also your parents part of that. Your family part of that. Yes, I'm not saying this in a way that they will be an obstacle, but they should be asset. That's something you should be happy. But you know what? When you get married, it's not like, hey, who cares about my parents? I'm going to take the girl and go away and just live by myself. That doesn't work this way among Muslims, especially among a lot of cultures. You have to keep in mind that, because this blood relationship, it will never come to an end. I don't understand. How can you acquire a spouse at the expense of losing a father or losing a mother? It just, for me, unless there is abuse. When there is abuse, there is something else. But and also I'm telling the same thing to the parents. We have very clear rule in Islam. which is anyone abuse their authority, lose their authority. If you start abusing your authority as a father and a mother, and we don't have a force today that you take her hand or take his hand and marry him by force. No, there is a force today by manipulating your children and abusing them emotionally and psychologically and financially, and use that stick. عقوق الوالدين أغضب الله عليك ولعنك الله. Allah will curse you. Allah will not ever enter your Jannah if you disobey your mom or dad or stuff. And all this for nothing, for no good reason.
I know one sister, Sheikh, she's from a very small ethnic group, super small ethnic group, like incredibly hard for her to find a spouse. And she said her father told her, if you even think of marrying from anywhere else other than our ethnic group, he was like, I'm going to come to your wedding and I'm going to commit suicide at your wedding.
Wow.
Like I'm going to shoot myself in the head at your wedding.
That's extreme. But back to Sheikh Waleed's point, family is very important. What I mean, actually, it will give you that support system. You as a new couple, newlyweds, you need that support system, whether her family or your family. And so they really need to be aligned with you and in agreement. And it's important because that support system will help you when you have children. Your children need their grandparents. It's a very important.
Absolutely. They become the platform that carries you, or they become the biggest burden that exhausts you.
Exactly.
I have a question for the audience.
Yes. No.
Okay. How many person here not married and in the age of getting married? Okay, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
I like that Ahmed raised his hand.
Yeah, somebody raised both hands and legs too. I'm ready. Okay, question.
Lines.
What is number one quality you look for when you're looking for a girl?
Wow.
What's number one thing that, that's the first thing other than the religion?
Smart guy.
Yeah, what that means, compatibility. Like, what in her that is compatible to you, with you? Like, what's in her? Like, what is it? She being funny, she being rich, she being outdoors, she being smart, she being educated, she being like, what? She's being like...
Yeah, I'd say funny, passionate, caring.
Passionate and caring person. Ibrahim.
I'm not sure if this is what the answer you're looking for, but I think I want her to be able to be my mom's best friend.
To be your mom's best friend. And she will be compatible to you. That's so sweet. But what's your mom best friend looks like?
Is it?
I should ask your mom that question. Okay. At least he knows himself. That's good.
Well, first off, they have to know how to talk to each other. So we talk about that language barrier.
So somebody can fit with okay. Excellent. Next to you. Someone who's good communicator. Okay. Can I ask the sisters now what's number one thing? I'm not going to embarrass anyone by saying age of marriage or not, even if you're married. But what's number one thing that you think in a guy? That's what a guy should have. That's what a man that I will consider. That's the first thing. It has the first checkpoint. Yes. He values her. Okay. But I don't know you yet to value you, kind of. But so a person who knows how to appreciate. Appreciation, a person who appreciates. Very well. What else? Yes? Maturity. Very good. And that's something, unfortunately, is not very common these days. Okay, very good. One more sister. Layla, what's your first thing? She's talking first. Can you raise your voice? The love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that's between him and Allah. Talk about you and him. Huh? Stable, stability. That's a very good, interesting point actually. Stability. If you see someone switching career every 6 months, switching college 5 times major in
He's
college.
talking to the one behind you, Layla.
Yeah, sorry. Layla, you go ahead. Yeah, no,
Now,
she
please,
talked first. I asked you.
Layla.
Go ahead. Okay. I don't know what's her name, but anyway. Your name is Layla too? Okay, she just talked. That's fine.
Someone who has good, like, who wants to communicate with you and have, like, arguments or good conflict resolution. Someone who wants to, like, talk out and work things out and do stuff.
So what will be the character trait?
Intelligent.
What will be
Is it
what's
intellectual?
what's the name of that character?
Yeah, someone who's, like, open-minded.
Open-minded. Someone who's open-minded. Very well. That's a good exercise for you guys to see what are people looking for when they get married. People have very different things like, okay,
Even if a person knows himself, even if they know the character traits they're looking for, where does the person actually find a spouse? Where do they find them? Do they come to the masjid and scout? Do they start going to MSAs and scout? Do they talk to a mentor, talk to a sheikh? Like, what's the actual process?
there's a brother there who wants to say something. Yes.
So Sheikh, I hear you talking about all the character traits that we look for. Those character traits develop sometimes over time.
Very well said.
So for me, rather than looking for a character trait that I wanted, I look for the character traits that I did not want or I would not want.
That I did not want.
Yes, so he's looking for the character traits like that's arrogance. Khalas, I'm out. You're
Okay.
looking to X character traits out.
That's fair. That's fair. But I want to say something. People don't change. So if you expect, like, I'm looking for someone who's funny, and he is not funny. He just look funny. He's not going to change. You would be wrong about, people don't change. People adjust a little bit, but I love what you said. That's so good also to look, because there is things can X the whole entire thing. Very well said. Where do you looking for? Okay, most of people in these days, it depends on your age, I guess. If you're older, most likely you're going online to look for a spouse. If you're younger, MSAs, college, masjids, your sister's friends, stuff like that. That's basically family.
How do you do it? Do you do the direct approach? Do you do the send a friend through, send somebody else who's senior? Like, how do people go to do this process of finding that person?
It depends which method you follow.
Okay.
Let's start with online. Okay? Online dating apps these days is like a trend about it. Even non-Muslim community talk about them. Salam and all these like apps, or Nasib or, what is that one? There's one that today I heard about it. Somebody asking me about it today.
Well, no one's going to shout it out, so.
Okay, so what about these kind of apps? Or can I trust? Can you trust marrying through online, Sheikh?
I really don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay. Anybody would like to share something before we share, like from the audience? Let's see, interact a little bit today.
Has to be out? Okay.
Okay, I'll tell you a true story happened to me about online. A sister came to me and she said, Sheikh, is it allowed for me to put my picture without hijab on one of my profile for marriage? I said, she said, but she's not asking about wearing hijab or not hijab. Her question was not that. Her question, she already planning to do without hijab. But she said, my question actually, Sheikh, is the picture is a little bit like,
Racy?
older. Like I took these pictures a few years back.
Oh,
But Sheikh, I guarantee you, I still look the same. Even if you want to see it, it's okay, you can see it, to judge. So I was curious. I said, not curious to see the picture. I was curious to I know how you guys think. Okay, so I said, I'm just curious, like how many years ago?
20 years ago?
18 years ago. She said, that's 18 years, but wallahi, Sheikh, I exactly look the same. It's like, I was like, are you serious? And you see, so what this may be this real example happened here in our, actually, in our community. So this example, it just gives you that there's so many deceiving about what's going on online. Be very careful about dating and getting to know someone online. That virtual kind of connections is, I can tell you, the majority of it is very, very deceiving. You will never get to, your friend over, your followers and friend over social media is not real friend. I always say those who are active online are not activists. A lot of people think because you're active online, it means you're an activist. You're not. What you go online is not necessarily to be real. I still remember a couple came to me. Sorry, I get excited about this topic because I just recorded a whole course about this issue.
called the Fiqh of Love, coming this year.
Yeah, inshallah, coming this year. When you cut it out, you must take that course if you are married or not married. Or divorce, it doesn't matter, because it deals with all this. So I remember this sister, she was married, okay, first of all, she's Somalian sister, or like from Africa, somewhere. And her husband from East Europe, which is already, I see the culture gap. So they sat with me outside in the old masjid. Then the sister said, the brother told me, Sheikh, we drove all the way from another state to you because it's really serious. I really love the sisters, and we got just married, and we went to mashallah. He's like, talk about how excited he is about. Then he finished. I said, okay, let me hear the sister. Then the sister goes, Sheikh, the matter of the fact is that we both drove about 13 hours to come here so we can talk to you about the problem. I said, you didn't need to. She said, why? I said, because I got it. I figured it out. This guy talk 100 words in a second, and this sister talk 20 words in 20 minutes or 20, It's like day and night. He's like, so excited. East Europeans very, very aggressive. And she is, mashallah, slow and thinking about every word. I said to them, I guarantee you guys, you met each other online. That's right? They said, yes. If these guys ever met each other in reality, they would not be married today. But because online and already there is a relationship, وَالْإِذْ وَالْأُذْنُ تَعْشَقُ قَبْلَ الْعَيْنِ أَحْيَانًا. Your ear can fall in love before your eyes, and your eyes will fall in love before your heart. Remember that. Your ear will fall in love before your eyes, and your eyes fall in love before your heart. But unfortunately, love is in the heart. Has not though with your eyes or with your ear. So you can be deceived by the conversation, you can be deceived by the look. So when they already so attached and deceived by that, they thought the marriage will work, but it didn't. It clashed. And I said, save yourself time, save yourself the gas for not coming back again in a couple of 6 months from wherever state you came and get divorced. Wow, yes, absolutely. Move on in your life.
You should You should advise them for speech training.
No speech training. It's just a completely different culture. It's a completely different culture. So I can tell from the beginning, obviously we talk more about so many other things, but it's a huge, be very careful about online relationships. Besides also, online relationship leads to a lot of haram. A lot of haram things. So that's what I want to take over, like mention here. You know, people always show you the best online. They choose the word carefully. They can rewrite it again, delete and write it. And there's a lot of crafting the message and stuff like that. So be very careful. Not because everybody put his profile. You know, people have fake names, fake jobs, fake this. You wouldn't believe how
They call it catfishing.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Baits.
Yeah, a lot of people go to these websites. They're already married. They're already this. They're already that. So be very careful. That's one thing I want to pick on. I know I'll leave the rest to talk about other methods.
So I actually would, I don't think there's anything wrong with arranged marriages. I mean, arranged marriages.
Whoa.
The idea is a lot of people have a problem with arranged marriages.
What's arranged marriage, Sheikh?
Okay, it's like when,
Okay, then hold on. First of all, who's excited about the idea of those who are unmarried? Who's excited about the idea of an arranged marriage? 2 hands. We got
1.5.
all right, because a lot of people misunderstand what it means because some cultures don't do it right. What I think, I'm not judging any culture here, but some cultures are into where, okay, their son is going to become a doctor, so they're going to have to arrange a marriage with another doctor. There's no way.
so that they can form a little
There's
hospital.
no way that they can, they're not even allowed to marry a dentist. So that's how, ridiculous it is, honestly. But arranged marriages can be done in a different way where you cancel these, I don't think they're not important, but you focus on the important issues. That if whether the parents or the friends, it doesn't have to be the parents, it could be the friends of the couple, that they know that, they know them both and they can arrange where they can meet and then find, know each other within a controlled environment, a halal environment, and then they find if it will work or not.
So Sheikh, the problem is branding. So when you say arranged marriages, people think of basically a forced marriage. They think of something where that person doesn't have the option. Here, you're going to marry so and so. It's arranged.
That is not
But you're
what
talking
arranged marriage
about
is.
arranging introductions.
That's what I meant.
So-
It's
so
like
in another-
they
in a simple-
eventually have the choice to say yes or no.
Yeah. So in a simple wording, your parents or your whoever suggesting someone for you.
That's it.
That's it. Is that something? I love this point because a lot of kids, a lot of young men and women, because my dad suggested, it's X.
Yep.
Because my mom said it, it's no. Because my parents suggested, it's no.
And it could be siblings, it could be
Or
friends.
sibling, or any family. Or my aunt, that's wrong mentality. You should be open mind. If your parents suggested someone, look at it. Don't just say no for the sake of no. Your parents are not your enemy. Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, good. Forced marriage is haram and invalid.
Yes.
Forced marriage is haram and
That's true,
invalid.
yeah.
For men or women. You cannot force your son, you cannot force your daughter into marriage.
I mean, we know of horrific examples when there was a forced marriage under the the pretext of it's arranged marriage, where the sister is suffering that her husband is a fornicator and an alcohol drinker, and they have children and she can't get out of the marriage, for example. And it happens because of that arranged marriage that it was not studied well, and there was a lot of details that were hidden from both of them.
Yeah. Okay. So Sheikh, I mean, there's
MSAs,
Okay.
another way, college. Most of young people get married in college, get to know people in college, statistically speaking. There is a study was made, most of people get married in young American Muslim generations or married through college, somebody known in college. And the second one was through friends. Friends introduce someone, which is arranged basically. Someone introduced him to or her to.
But that's during a particular period in their life, right? Like it's college is a great time because you're you're experiencing these interests at an incredibly high level with so many people within your age group. You have this incredibly social life. But as you get older and you graduate, that social life just continues to shrink as much as a person, gets older.
So take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely take advantage of it. And that's why having these conversations is, I think, very important to have early and often. I would advise for you to have early and often with family, with friends.
Would you support someone get married while they are in high school?
I mean, you're the one with sons in high school and daughters in high school, so that's a question for you.
Soon you will have.
I don't know, Sheikh. That's too young for me.
Not high school, maybe in college, if they're like 2-3 years in college, yes.
College, yes, but high school is too early.
High school is, they're still completely.
They still have growth spurts to hit and things like
immature.
Okay, I'm just asking.
that. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this topic could obviously you've taught it over 2 weekends, but meaning there's a lot that can be said. But just as far as takeaways for the evening, so we said that we were going to title this "How to Pick Your Spouse" and as well how to keep them. So let's just give a little nugget about keeping your spouse after you found them.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing? If you find the person, the biggest challenge is, how do you know that this is the right person? We don't date as a Muslims. How would I know this girl will really get along with my mom? Or, like Ibrahim was saying, how would I know that this really girl is funny or this guy is really open-minded? Because usually people show you the best, but later on they show you the rest. Okay? So how would I know? Since we don't date, I will tell you, quick points. Number one, there is something that's called red flags. When you see red flags comes up, okay, about the person, like what? Some kind of gaps in their life. Like 2-3 years, nothing. You don't know where, he never talk about them. What, he's a drug addict? Was he in rehab? What he's doing? Gap. That's a red flag. A red flag that he basically unexpected behavior, scary stories. These kind of red flag.
Tantrums.
Mental issues, taking medications. I'm not saying it's red flag means bad, but that red flag. Somebody has, breakdown. Somebody has, family problems. Instability. Somebody will talk about stability earlier in their life. The more these flags comes up about her, him, same thing, okay? What you need to do, you need to extend the time for knowing the person. You never rush. That means it's gonna be 1 year until I make a decision. Unless I see clear sign that that's it, out. So red flags. Another thing that to know this is the right one or not, one thing I will tell you, always look for the person's friends. You can tell a lot about the person, who he is, by looking at his friends. If he hangs out with a bunch of losers, he's a loser like them, most likely. If he'll hang out with a bunch of people who are like, mashallah, successful, good, come to the masjid, that means he's a person come to the masjid. He cannot say, I come to the masjid, and all his friends never come to the masjid. That doesn't work. So she cannot say, wallah, mashallah, and I love the deen, and all her friends are just, far away from the shayateen. That's cannot. So look at the friends. Another thing that I enjoy, because sometimes parents ask me actually to be in the interview, the first interview to the guy. Like a couple of times I was asked by parents, Sheikh, I want you to be with my daughter when she meets her future husband. I love to do that. Anyone wants me to represent his daughter, I will be happy. I will grail the guy, okay, for you. But one thing I enjoy asking, I said, what you have accomplished in life. A person's cannot, Henry Ford once said, you cannot build reputation based on what you are going to do. Your reputation is always built in what you have done. I don't care what you say about yourself. I will. I don't care about the you will. What I care about, what you have done. You ask her, you ask him. Because people who accomplish things in their life, reach targets. You know what? Somebody like said, you know what? I built something. I made something. I accomplished this. That's a lot, that you can tell a lot about the person. Meet the parents. Make istikhara, consulting, ask about the person. These are all these things, also a fruitful conversation. Don't rush yourself to get to know the person. You will find that this is the right person or not. These are just things that have to do with.
Just one point about the red flags. You can miss all of those red flags by yourself, guy or girl. So I would always encourage people to bring people along. Even guys, sometimes they think, I don't need a wali, so I don't need. No, a second opinion for you will be incredibly helpful. And I've known guys who have gone to visit families with their family, and he's like, this is the girl. Then comes back and the family is like, are you blind? Because you must be, right? And he ended up missing so many different facets of compatibility. So
yeah, and please take advantage of Sheikh Ibrahim, Sh.Waleed, Ammar, Sh.Ammar, Sh.Kamal. You guys lucky in this community. And I will be honest and blunt about it. You know, there is several marriages that I have seen fall apart, and it could have been saved if their parents came and asked first.
meaning you know the community, you know the family.
I know the person, I know the
yeah.
girl, I know the boy. I would have to recommend to you to 1, 2, 3. At least either you save the marriage or from the beginning you don't even enter the marriage. You know, ask. We get to know a lot, by the way, you don't know about. Especially in this community. If there is around the world,